whiskey.
Do you want any rocks?
Yes, please. Couple. I'll take 2 to 3 there.
Cool. Yeah, let's start the right way.
Yeah.
I also thought we need to start with some firearms.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna say, normally, you know, as long as we're not in a car, then we can have alcohol and firearms.
And so these are certainly prop guns.
Yeah.
And I used to make prop guns since I was a little kid. Like I would buy a toy gun.
Yeah.
And then I would do everything I could in my artistic ability to make it look like a real gun that would get me arrested.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. You pop the orange tip off of it,
Uh-huh.
you know, and yeah. Yeah. I like the duct tape on the
rack
little.
that real quick.
Yeah.
Tick, tick, boom! It's Hot Mike. Welcome back, Jesse Lee.
Well, thank
How
you, brother.
doing,
Oh,
man?
fantastic as always.
Always
So
a
happy to be
pleasure.
here. Yeah.
I'm glad I get to get you here like once a month. This is
I'm loving
treat.
it, man.
Yeah.
It's fun for me. I get to. This is, you know, I don't really get to get out. I'm out all the time. I'm playing. I'm on the road on the weekends, so I'm out. But you know, someone asked me last night. I was working at the bar, and they're like, "Oh, you know, do you ever get to come sit on this side and have someone serve you?" And I'm like, "Well, I do, but not in a I chose to go somewhere and do just this. You know, it's like it's always attached to something. I'm on the road. I'm playing a gig, so I'm at the bar and I'm there for a couple hours or whatever it is. Or, you know, other than that, occasionally, Ashley and I go out and we get like tonight after we get done, we're gonna go out and have some dinner. And
nice.
But that's, you know, maybe once a month or once every 6 weeks. So
yeah,
this is one of the few outlets that I have to just go have some fun with a friend.
dude, I love it.
Not, you know, there's, yeah.
I
appreciate it.
I cherish the time, man.
I get to justify going somewhere and just doing just something I want to do for 3 hours, you know, or whatever, however long it is.
That's so cool, man.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate it, and you're always just a fun guest. And we picked a topic today.
Yes.
That I think it's appropriate that we have some firearms props,
Yes.
if anything. But and it's appropriate for the topic, and is heist movies.
Yes.
Which I didn't realize what a vast genre we were selecting.
Oh, yeah.
I honestly feel foolish where I was like, oh, okay, it's all my favorite movies.
Right. Or also we should maybe get heist movies from the 40s or, you know, like post-contemporary 80s and 90s only, you know, like but no, it's fun to be able to
subgenres within that heist umbrella.
Well, and I feel like, you know, it's not just, you know, a traditional heist movie where it's like, all right, you get your team and we're putting on this robbery, but there are a lot of like other kind of things that do fall under there that's like it could be like a heist movie. I mean, well, obviously Die Hard is not considered a heist movie. It's an action film about a heist.
It's a heist movie.
It's a heist movie.
Yeah.
Also a Christmas movie.
It's a Christmas movie.
Yes.
Yes.
But
right.
But yeah, so I mean, obviously it's been a genre it's vastly explored for now 70 years. And I feel like after maybe the new Ocean's 11 in early 2000s.
Yeah, 2001, I believe, is the
I feel
first
like that
of the
kind of
remakes.
like blew it open as a thing that more and more people like. You know, we had great ones before that in the 90s. Usual Suspects, one of my all-time favorite movies of any kind.
Yes.
But it didn't. That's more like how Tarantino. It's like, you know, Reservoir Dogs. Like, these are heist movies, but it didn't make everybody go, you know, foam at the mouth. Like, I want to make a heist movie.
Yeah.
I felt like after Ocean's 11, it was like, oh, this was just so hugely successful that it became like we need to make more heist movies, and there were. I mean, at that time there were several. It was already kind of in the makings. There was The Heist was one that came out at the same time as.
Is that Gene Hackman?
That was Gene Hackman,
yeah.
and Sam Rockwell.
Oh yeah,
And but they were supposed to release like in June of 2001, and at the same time, what was the other one that had like the whole Oscar-nominated cast that came. The score.
The score.
Oh,
yes.
And it was supposed to release in June as
Totally.
well. So they were like, hey, let's wait on the heist. They
Yeah.
pushed it back to November, which was when the score released to DVD.
Yes.
So it was like, but, you know.
Brando, Norton, De
Yes,
Niro.
dude, huge cast.
Killer
Yeah,
cast.
yeah.
Uh-huh.
But there were, like you said, even the 80s. So I watched The Thief last night, and it's a great movie.
Isn't that great?
A lot of people did their debut on that movie. Dennis Farina.
Dennis Farina.
Who Dennis Farina was actually a Chicago police officer.
Yeah. Wasn't
at
he
that
an
time.
active detective?
Yes,
Like at the
he was,
time.
he was working as a detective, and then, which, I mean, you know, makes more sense when you watch Law and Order later, and you're like, okay, yeah, no, he really
fits.
knows this character.
Uh-huh.
But he does a lot of villainous characters too, and in that film, he's a henchman.
Yeah.
you know.
Uh-huh.
And then
So Thief is 1981.
81,
James
James
Caan,
Caan.
Michael Mann.
Jim Belushi,
Jim Belushi
which
was
it was
great
also
in that.
his film debut.
Wow.
Yeah, and that's a very cool heist movie because it's not like too out there. It's very real. So it was written by a professional thief who was serving time when the movie was made. The technical advisor, Tony Santucci, who plays the detective Urizi.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So while you've got Dennis Farina a cop playing a henchman, you've got an actual criminal playing the detective.
Yeah.
But I think he even furnished those all the tools and everything that you see them use are real tools. That magnetic hydraulic drill press that Jim Belushi uses in the first scene. That's the actual tool that Santucci would use to drill out a safe. That's a real safe that they bought for $10,000. Like all of the tools, all of that, and the writing and everything was just very true to what was to the material. You know, they're like, this is a heist movie written by heisters, with heisters on the staff to teach us how they heisted.
The authenticity, even in the dialogue, felt like it really puts you into that world.
Yes.
Where where James Caan is finally kind of confronted by this bigger organization.
Yeah,
and kind of wants and wants to be brought on as like their hired thief, and he kind of lays out, this is how I work.
Yeah.
And he's like, I don't steal
right.
stamp collections.
It's
he's
diamonds
like,
and
I
cash.
steal ice.
Yeah, exactly. And he didn't want to be brought on. He said, "No, I do my jobs. I don't need to answer to anybody. I don't need to get people, interfering and mucking up my business, But all right, I'll do this. I'll do 1 or 2 jobs at most," he says. Which, of course, you can't get in with a organized crime syndicate and do 1 or 2 jobs and be out. You can't join a gang and then just leave after 2 jobs, In the real world, that doesn't happen. You got to be jumped in, you got to be jumped out.
Yeah.
Some places won't let you leave because you know too much.
Yeah.
And, so also to the authenticity of the characters and the dialogue and writing is like, I mean, so he's this like hardcore, like New York tough guy, criminal, seasoned, and shut off from everybody else. How does he get a date? He just walks up and grabs her by the arm in the middle of traffic and yanks her and shoves her in the car. You're coming with me. Like you just abducted this woman.
Yeah.
And then they go sit down in the diner, and he's just laying it out. But his whole demeanor is so gruff. It makes me laugh to think about like how, is this real? But then you go, okay, you think about the psychology of it, and she tells her story about, she was with a criminal before this, and it like totally messed up her life and everything. But obviously she has a type, and obviously he has a type.
Yeah.
And him, she's like, oh, he's so assertive. Like by his third sentence out of his mouth inside the diner, she starts, taking off her jacket and like, I feel comfortable with this psychopath that just threw me in a car and took me somewhere. Yeah, bring us a coffee. I don't drink coffee. No coffee. You like pie? You like pie? Yeah, get her pie. You're gonna like this pie. Like.
Get us some more cream. What's wrong with the cream? It's cottage cheese.
It's cottage cheese, yeah. Which he, James Caan said was his, that monologue in the diner is his, he felt like was like his shining accomplishment as an actor. It was his favorite, looking back, his favorite bit piece that he's ever done for anything.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and that's, standing up against Godfather, which is his other favorite, Yeah, Sonny. Yeah, but it is a really great movie. I had a lot of fun watching that and looking at it and researching some of all that crazy stuff about it. It just feels very real. So, as opposed to, like I said, Ocean's 11, or even, while I absolutely love The Usual Suspects, it's not like a thing you can see that these are real criminals. These are like characters,
Highly stylized in the way that the...
Yeah. Fantastic characters.
Sure.
Benicio del Toro.
Fenster.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Come on, say on the flippy for real. What are you saying?
Yeah.
Is that English? The flippy for real. Anybody else think it's in the asshole? They got a finger in my asshole. Is it Friday already? Kevin Pollak and Kevin Spacey and
what a cast,
dude!
Gabriel
What a cast!
Byrne.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Chaz Palminteri.
Yes, and yeah. I mean, he's always.
Great.
And by the way, I was just looking at Dick Tracy right when you said that.
Nice.
He's one of the guys in that one. But in that film, they didn't know what this story was going to be when they filmed it. So the guy who's playing Dean Keaton, while his name is escaping me right now,
Gabriel Byrne.
Oh, that's Gabriel Byrne, right? Yeah. Thank you. So he was like one of the more experienced thespians in the group, and while they're filming it, he's like, "Why would we do this? There's no way this isn't part of the script." And so they were like, the whole thing about him ended up being Kaiser Sose, or them thinking he's Kaiser Sose, and doing all the filming of him as Kaiser Sose. He's like, this is not going to work. None of this is going to work. And the original script and story, what they ended up with, was all done in post, and it wasn't at all what the original story was. So like this masterpiece that we have was someone getting real creative at the end and going, you know what? It would be a cooler story if they just shot a whole bunch of different stuff that, wasn't necessarily part of what they originally intended. But because they did that, they were able to turn it around and go, wait, it's way cooler if we do this, and make him be this guy and take people on this thing where they believe that it's him when it's not.
And then,
at the end, they were able to pull it together.
Pull the trap door at the end and surprise the hell out of you.
Oh, yeah. And
I remember it was the walking at the end, and it's the footsteps of him. It's as verbal
limping,
as a cripple, and then suddenly he can walk. It was just the best, Well, it was like, not just to see Kaiser Soze, but he's been faking the whole character of verbal
for everyone. And, and then when you look at it, obviously that's his story. Mm-hmm. Him telling them what he wants them to know about what happened. That could have been...
The whole movie is a fabrication.
Yeah, none of it could have been real at all.
Yeah.
He did have those people gathered together, but the way he told the story, he could have made up every detail about how that story went down to the cops to get them a story that they would believe so that he could get away with it. But
Kobayashi porcelain.
Right. Yeah. I mean, obviously, Redfoot. Yeah.
Redfoot.
Yeah.
She was
when
fat.
I was picking beans.
I mean orca fat. When I was picking beans in Guatemala.
Picking beans down in Guatemala. They had good coffee. This is shit, but, I'm in a police station, so I get real thirsty. Yeah, I'm not kidding. One time my piss came out like snot. That's one of those movies that's like, kind of like in Pulp Fiction, where it kind of has a nonlinear storytelling thing going on, but more so that it's one of those where every time I watched it, for at least the first 10 times, and I have seen that movie more than a dozen times.
For sure.
There's some little thing that you find. These little, I call them Easter eggs.
Yeah.
It's like some little, tiny little detail that they know most people aren't going to notice, but when you do, so it makes it fun to watch it every single time, because you're like, oh, there was a new thing there. You know,
Yeah.
I feel like I've thoroughly dissected it by now, but I would still love to watch it anytime.
And then there's things you'll go back to, and you're like, oh, I forgot about that.
Right.
I forgot how fucking cool McManus is.
Yeah,
Like, Stephen Baldwin.
Stephen Baldwin. Hey, you know, and you know, one of the lesser lauded of the Baldwins, I think. But in that movie, he's, I mean, I've liked him in a couple different things, but that movie I really like McManus. Yeah. Christ, don't you pigs ever fucking sleep? Kiss my ass. All right, pretty boy, let's go.
When he's counting, everybody,
1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, what's he say?
Oswald was a fag.
This is easy. Yeah, he's a crazy little psychopath with his ice blue eyes. You know.
Yeah, Fenster and McManus. What a great, and you mentioned Kevin Pollak, like a guy who's known for his comedic chops.
Well, and in that movie
he really
too,
is,
he is still like kind of the
quipping and
all the time. Yeah, we put you in Queens on the night of the hijacking. Really? I live in Queens. Do you do that all yourself? You got a whole team of monkeys working on that one. You know what happens if you go to prison again? I fuck your father in the shower and I have a sandwich. Are we done? You know, he's funny.
Yeah. And tough.
Yeah, but he is tough. And you know, when I've watched interviews with him too, he seems like he's actually a pretty tough guy in real life. Like he's like, he doesn't stand up for shit. I think it was an interview about that movie, and it seemed to me that I was gathering he wasn't a fan of Stephen Baldwin as a person. And you could just kind of see it, and he's just got this kind of like air of, I don't fucking give a fuck.
For him.
Fuck him.
When they're nose to nose, it's kind of believable. Like
it's very believable. Yeah,
got some animosity on set going right now.
Well, you know, that's and you know, back to Thief. That was one thing I was reading about James Caan, like doing when they're in the hospital and he's staring at the doctor.
Oh yeah,
he like got so intense that the doctor getting nervous was like it's real reaction. He was like, "Am I fucking up right now? What's going on? Like, why is he staring at me like this? Am I ruining a scene or something? What did I do? What did I do?
James Caan is so intimidating.
He is, and I mean, he's just so intricate too. So I think of him in later that I always come back to, like, I think it's General's Daughter, and there's a scene where he's smoking, and it's like an exposition. He's like, it's later in the film, and he's talking about what had happened, and I don't know if you've seen that one. It's whatever, the general's daughter is enlisted and she gets raped, and there's this whole thing about like covering it up and all this stuff. But he's smoking a cigarette and talking, and the way that it's kind of like backlit with the smoke, and he's talking and the smoke coming out of his nose as he's putting out the cigarette, and I'm just like, that is a foreboding character for sure. Like it's like, you know, he's just he has a lot of power in his presence in everything he does, and it's
whoa. I just thought of another James Caan heist movie, but a lesser known, Bottle Rocket.
Ooh.
He plays Mr. Henry in Bottle Rocket.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember that one?
Vaguely.
It's Wes Anderson's first film.
I was gonna say, yeah, that's
but it's kind of a mishap screwball type heist movie where it's guys who are pretty inept in their craft,
right?
But are kind of wannabes,
right?
And he plays kind of the, not even the fence, but the stake man, or I don't know all the lingo. I didn't do time. Give me another one of these.
I was gonna say we didn't do that time at least. Yeah.
Yeah. Should we try some of that?
Yeah.
What'd you think of The Fireside?
That's good. That's smooth. It's
all right.
It's sweet. It's not too warm, which, you know, in a bourbon, that's kind of what you're looking for is warmth.
Yeah.
You know, but I've tasted a lot recently, and Feisty is a local company, and we started carrying them. But I had a actual like private tasting experience with them where they taught us like how you should, you know, try to establish what a good bourbon, whiskey, scotch, any of those things are about, you know, in your crystal glass, and how you hold the glass to be able to smell. Up here is like, we'll tell you what it's cut with. Down here, it'll tell you, or rather, you know, you can tilt it like sideways, and you can. It's like sweeter at the top, or you can see when they stopped the fermentation. It was really interesting. So I would suggest going down to the tasting room. They do that sometimes, and they have what I think several really.
Where are they?
I believe they're downtown, like kind of somewhere in the downtown area. You have to look it up, but it's but they have their actual tasting room there, and
nice.
where you can go in. But yeah, they've got good stuff.
Yeah.
So for all different types of whiskeys, their rye is phenomenal.
Ooh,
they've got straight rye. And
okay.
Not a lot of places are carrying a lot of rye. And
Yeah.
a lot of people, I think a few people are kind of getting into appreciating it, but it's not as well known. Not as many people. It's generally a lot harsher is what most people would think of it, as opposed to, certainly a whiskey like
smooth.
a Jameson or a Crown or something that are sweet.
Yeah.
A lot of pot still in that.
Boy, I had a little bit of Jim Beam the other day, and it was just it was not good on the palate.
It was not.
It's been so long.
It was not good.
It was not good. It was not a good one.
Well, I used to drink Jim Beam exclusively, and then they were bought out. And I believed that when that happened, I could taste a difference. It was almost like it was more like watered down. It was less like authentic bourbon taste to me.
Yeah.
But it's still it's a good well.
Yeah.
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 It's easily, it's not something necessarily you want to just drink on the rocks, but
No.
But that's what higher level whiskeys are for. If you're going to spend a little more, so you can really sit and appreciate it.
Exactly.
And,
that's not what Beam. That's not Beam's corner of the market.
That's not what they're shooting for. I don't think. It's like, this is a good whiskey. You can drink this. Yes. It's better than Ezra Brooks.
So when I rewatched Thief, and I'd seen it a couple years back, and it left an impression, but not as much. Like I was like giddy. I was having so much fun watching it this time.
Yeah.
Prepping for this episode. But the one thing that I remembered from years ago was how well James Caan curses in the movie.
Yeah.
Like his cussing is great in that movie. It is top notch. And the scene that I remembered more than anything is when he gets pulled over and is first getting leaned on by those detectives. Eurisi. Yeah. This is real important. Is to remember my name. Sergeant Reese. Yeah. Is that his name?
Yeah. Eurisi.
Eurisi.
Yeah. I can't remember what he said. Oh, I didn't know when did they I don't know, something like they start hiring Jews or something. He's like, I'm Italian.
Yeah. And then he says a whole myriad of slurs.
Yeah.
But he drops such a perfect F-bomb. It's at the end when he just kind of like ends the conversation with him, and he's like, "If you want to pinch me, I'll be out in 10 minutes. If not, get the fuck off my car."
Yes. Yeah.
And I was like, "Whoa, that was a good."
That's
F-bomb.
how you say that. Yeah. That's how that word is supposed to be used. Get the fuck off my car. Tell you.
So good. And did you feel like you could see some of the framework building for what became Heat?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, there's a lot of. Michael Mann did both of them, and not that there's a lot of differentiation amongst many heist movies. It's all about. It's about the individual characters in the crew. It's about double crossing all the time. It's about being smart enough to know what you know how to do. But definitely, it kind of it feels a lot, very similar, of course, to Heat.
Well, there was the element where he at the end, he starts getting. He basically goes against Joe and says, you pay me all my money. Yeah.
What is this? This is 800. Where's my 850,000? There's 70, 80 here.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll get it to you.
He's like, oh, yeah? That's how much you're getting in cash. We got it in other assets.
Right.
It's like, bullshit. This is my money.
It's not what we agreed on.
This is my blood, sweat, and tears. Yeah. And so he now has heat coming from the actual police. Oh, and he refers to him as heat.
Yeah.
Because he's like, when he goes back home and he turns on the faucet, he opens up the telephone,
he can see that he's bugged.
The bug, yeah.
Takes the bug out, puts it back in, because he's not going to, it doesn't want them to know that they've been made.
Yeah. And she's like, what is it? And he's like, heat.
Yeah.
It's police.
The heat's on. Yeah.
But when he has to, he completely like throws her out of the house.
Yeah.
Like we are done.
Yeah.
You are gone. This is how much money you're going to be getting every month.
Right.
And then he blows up his house. Then he
Right.
blows up his businesses.
Yeah.
And then he goes and kills his employer.
Right.
He does basically what Neil McCauley is talking about in Heat is you need to be able to drop anything you have in your life in 10 minutes flat if you spot the heat around the corner.
Right.
So we get to see that actually happen and take place in Thief.
Yeah.
And then it's just referred to as kind of a mentality in Heat.
And it's if you want to, that'd be the only way to be able to survive in that realm is you have to be able to say, this is what I am. So and that's what he says to her in the diner scene. He's like, I'm a thief. This is what I do. I'm a criminal.
Yeah.
Like it, because his previous marriage wasn't working. He goes and talks to Willie Nelson, Olka. Yeah,
I can't remember.
Okla.
Yep. Real name
Oklahoma.
David. Yeah.
And he's like, well, she's that one's over, but there's a new one, and he's like, just be honest.
Be honest
with her. It's like, all right, that's what I want to start it with. But at the same time, it still has to be. It's the type of thing where you have to be so dedicated to what you want that doesn't matter. Nothing else can matter except you watching out for you.
Yeah.
And that's the only way to be able to maintain a successful career as a criminal like that, like a high-end kind of criminal, not like, I mean, even still, that's the mentality of like, young gangsters and stuff too. It's like, I've got affiliation to these people. And so I've got some, I have a responsibility to follow through with what I say to them. But if it really comes down to it, what are they going to do? They're going to, be ready to walk away from everything and burn the people that are there with them so that they can watch out for themselves.
Yeah.
And that's really the essence of his character too, is like, he's so guarded at all times because at some point you may have to, get out. You're done. Yeah, I love you. Yeah, well, yeah, I bought a set, baby.
Oh yeah, there's that whole element where he
Right.
buys a child off the street.
Yeah.
Because they can't, they're not eligible for adoption.
Right, because he's an ex-con.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, he is good at making a scene.
And his whole speech there too about I was supposed to get 2 years, and then these guys, try to attack me, so I, ended up with 10 for killing them and doing all this.
Manslaughter.
That was a real story that the writer got a letter from another inmate telling him his story, and that was his story. So again, to the authenticity of the writing, it was that's part of what makes it cool. Also, just how James Caan decided he wanted to play those things. Like he said, he specifically talked slow and refrained from using contractions. And James Caan surmised that would suggest that he did that because he never wanted to repeat himself.
Wow.
I'm going to talk slow for you and make it very clear so that I don't ever have to fucking tell you again.
Yeah.
This is what it is. Icy.
Yeah, icy.
And you got to be.
If you're stealing ice.
Yes, if you're stealing ice.
Well, talking about the authenticity and tying it in with Heat, I saw an interview with Michael Mann, and he's talking about where the framework came for Heat.
Yeah.
And it was a conversation that he had with a guy named Chuck Adamson, who was Dennis Farino's real-life partner in Chicago. And by the time Heat came out, he had already passed away. But he'd had this conversation with him years ago, like back in the 80s, about when he was a detective. He was leaning on a specific thief who was working on the streets and was working as an informant for him. And his name was Neil McCauley. And they were in a diner, actually a deli in Chicago. And Michael Mann actually says the very specific deli that they were in. But this detective had a lot of respect and admiration for what McCulley did and how well he did it. But he said, I'll make no qualms. Like, I was willing to gun this guy down at the drop of a hat.
Yeah.
And I knew he felt the same way.
Right.
And Michael Mann went away with that conversation thinking about this tension between two men who really respect each other, but would have not a second's hesitation to gun each other down,
right?
Gun one another down if the opportunity or the circumstances, the necessity presented itself. And he then, so that scene between Pacino and De Niro in the diner, that really is like the epicenter of the story. And it makes sense why it is such a powerful scene within that movie, is it all structures around that dynamic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love, seeing that when you do see that is, it's, that's some real life shit. People just have to work. And, you kind of see it a lot in some different, cop and robber style movies where it's like that, where it's almost like, I almost appreciate you more because you've been able to outwit me. I'm gonna fucking get you. I'm gonna get you. I'm gonna get you. He's like, I bet you will. One day, maybe. But that's a great dynamic to look at, because I think that it is real, and there is some appreciation for each other, even if you're at odds, just for saying, hey, I consider myself top shelf, and you're giving me a run for my money. You are top shelf. It's my mission to take you down one way or another, or to get away from you. But I respect that you have taken so much time and energy in your life to figure out how to do this as well as you do it.
Yeah. Why don't you find another lines of work?
Yeah.
This is what I do.
This is what I do.
Take down scores.
Right.
You do what you do. You take down guys like me.
That's right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, that's it's just I love to see those dynamics, just because it does, I don't know, I feel like it can unite anyone, and no matter where you kind of feel that you fall. Some people don't like cops, but you can watch a cop movie and go, I like that cop.
Yeah.
Or vice versa. I don't like criminals, but that one, like in Donnie Brasco. At the end, when Pacino realizes that Johnny Depp was the informant, but he's just like, fuck. Well, I love him, so fuck it. I'm going out. I'm going out. And it's time to, if it's time to die, it's time to die, or whatever I got to do. But honestly, I actually love that guy.
Yeah.
Even though he ruined everything, ruined my family, ruined my life,
sure
took me
sucks,
down
but...
for what I did. But
I
actually love that kid.
Yeah. Boy, that's a good point. Yeah. I mean, that's such an emotional end to that movie.
Yeah.
Is kind of the betrayal and then the full acceptance of Lefty.
Yeah.
And he just, he knows, takes off all his jewelry.
Yep. Right.
Leaves it behind.
Puts it in. This is for my wife. I'm not coming back from this.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're calling me out. That means I messed up. I brought someone in. It was wrong.
Yeah.
I'm dead. I'm getting killed.
Yep.
Yeah.
I vouched for this guy.
I vouched. I'm dead. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
When you were talking about work, like that it's the job.
Yeah.
I was seeing that Tom Sizemore and really the whole cast of Heat, they did a lot, and this is really credit to Michael Mann and his attention to detail and the depth in which he wants to touch on a story. He wanted each and every actor to interact with people who are a lot like the character. Yeah. So cops are talking with other detective, like the actors who are playing these cops. They're talking to detectives. The crew, De Niro's crew, is going actually to Folsom, and they're talking with guys who are in prison for bank robbery or jewelry heisting or things like that. And it was Tom Sizemore specifically who was talking about, he was sitting with a guy who was in prison for robbing a bank, and he was caught with a lot of money, and it tied back to this bank. And Tom asked him, he's like, why is it that you felt like you needed to keep doing this? You had so much money. He was like, well, that was my job.
Yeah.
That's what I do.
It's what I'm good at.
Yeah,
it's
what I'm good at.
It really, it's my passion. You can think of them as being really fulfilled, not just the excitement and the danger and the score, but it's all of it. It's that I can look at this situation and instantly be able to establish, all right, these are how their security systems are set up.
Yeah.
I know how to get around all those things, and like it's like a sense of accomplishment. It's like a landscaper. You take a empty plot of land and then you turn it into something beautiful.
Yeah.
For them, they orchestrated something, made it happen, and it's not about the money because they already have the money.
Yeah.
It's about, this is what I do, and I'm damn good at it, and I just like practicing my art. It's like. Yeah. It's like a famous, like a Rolling Stones showing up and playing for a 200-person club in Chicago. That happened. My uncle was down there. He's living there in the 90s, and it's one of those like back entrance speakeasies type places. And they go, hey, if anyone wants to leave now, because we're locking the doors and no one's getting out for the next hour and a half. And they're like, okay, well, something's happening. And they lock the doors, and the Rolling Stones come on, and this little tiny club with 200 people in it, and play for 45 minutes to an hour. And it's just like, why? Because they wanted to do it. Because they felt like, hey, this is what we do. Let's go have fun. You know, this is what we like to do. Remember when we used to play in small clubs? Let's go do that again.
Oh my God. What a lucky show to be at. That's incredible. Right place, right time kind of thing.
Absolutely. And, Chicago is a very cool city. Back to Thief again. That's the Green Mill, which is one of his cover businesses that he blows up at the end. The bar,
yes,
is a real lounge in I think it's uptown Chicago there, and it's called the Green Mill, and it's still there today. I was just in Chicago not long ago, and
no shit,
and I wished I had thought about that or known that, watched this a year ago and been like, I'm going to go there, because I like to go when I can and go visit places where things have been filmed. I think it's just fun to kind of like look around and like I lived in Ocean Beach, San Diego, California. And so in Almost Famous, that's where he lives. That's where they're from. And it's actually filmed there, like his hometown scenes are like there, and I'm like, that's the Strand. I've walked past there a million times, and it's just fun to like watch them in like a 70s aesthetic, just walking down the street that I've walked a million times, and not all memorable in terms of being able to remember. There's a lot of bars on that street, it's like, oh, that's the bar. That's THC now, Yeah.
Yeah.
I just love to do that. Like anytime I don't know. It's the fan in me for that.
Sure.
I love to just, like you were talking about, I can't remember what movie, but the bathrooms when you're Sundance.
Reservoir Dogs.
Reservoir Dogs.
Yes.
Yeah. That's the bathroom. Right.
Well, so, but it's the bathroom that they were rehearsing the scene in. So it's
right. When Tim, is it Tim Roth?
Like
faking, like, going through with his whatever confidant, like, right?
No, actually not. So what it is so the story is, when I was working at the Sundance Resort, I got to work in all of the same facilities that were still in operation and existing from when Quentin Tarantino back in 1991 was at the Summer Labs workshopping Reservoir Dogs. So none of this footage that none of the footage that's in the movie is where I was. It was where you get to see. So really, what it is Reservoir Dogs released its 25th anniversary DVD.
Yeah,
and with the DVD, it in the special features, it shows footage that he shot at the Sundance Resort. So you get to see Quentin Tarantino playing Mr. Pink. And Steve Buscemi is playing Mr. White.
Yeah.
And they are acting out the scene in a bathroom, and it's the bathroom that was like my office bathroom.
Right.
So it's the urinal that I would go to
that every
one
there.
Yeah, I was just like,
every day. That's where I pee.
I know that. So that's the significance. But
Right.
Unfortunately, it's nothing that came up like
Right.
in
It
the
wasn't
movie.
in the film, but yeah.
Ooh, to tie this Thief and Reservoir Dogs.
Yes.
So for Heat, I don't think it was for Thief, but one of the consultants for Michael Mann in making Heat was Eddie Bunker, who wrote a book on bank robbery.
Okay.
And he plays Mr. Blue.
Yeah.
In Reservoir Dogs. He doesn't have much of a role beyond that opening diner scene where they're talking about Madonna and Like a Virgin. Yeah, because he's the one who's just like
for the first time.
He's the one who's like, I really like that song Borderline.
That's I mean, well, you know.
So he's a real life bank robber,
right?
And he's one who was talking about this is a job, this is what we do, and he was kind of giving some criticism and critique around other robbery and heist movies, and he made reference to the Thomas Crown affair.
Yeah,
and he was saying, he was talking about talking about the remake specifically.
Bronson.
Bronson, yeah. Pierce
Bronson,
thank you. And Rene Russo.
Yeah.
He was saying, "Ooh, what a smoke show!" Her and Get Shorty.
Oh yeah. So I mean, she always is.
Always, everything. Name it. Tin
exactly.
cup.
Yeah, totally.
Get
tin
some.
cup. Yeah. Yes.
So what he was talking about how much pleasure that Thomas Crown was getting in the heist. Like he was he was really reveling in it.
Yeah.
But he's also this like millionaire, billionaire, like playboy,
right?
Whatever. And he was like, if you got that much money to put into a robbery, you don't need to rob anything.
Yeah.
And he was like, that's the only part that I don't like about what the heist genre has become is about, because he was like, I just don't believe that. Like, I don't believe a wealthy guy. He's like, you see a lot of guys in the business who are really good at it and take pride in their work, but they're always trying to build to retirement.
Right.
They want
That's
out.
what, you know, one or two, and then I'm out. I'm done. I'm finally can retire, you know. But it's a drug, you know.
Can you give it up?
Can you really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like Michael Chirino says, and where he's like, for me, the action is the juice.
Yeah.
So I'm in.
Yeah.
And he's in because he
for the love of the game.
I just love it, man.
Yeah.
For Chris Chahairless, who is Val Kilmer, he needs it.
Right.
He's in debt in Vegas.
Right.
The bookies are after him. He's like, brother, I need this. Because they know they've got heat on
Let me in.
Yeah. And then for Danny Trejo, he's just like, hey, you know me. I'm
fuck
in.
it.
Fuck it.
Any kind of craziness is fun for me.
Yeah.
Danny Trejo. I love that guy too.
I love that.
He's
Tom
he's really
Sizemore
funny.
delivering that because he's like, Michael, you got a family, you got some money put away, you got to like this is on you. And he's like, Neil, I go with you. He's like, nope, not on this one. Yeah, this one's got to be all you.
You make this choice. It's
and
not.
He's got
it's
that
not,
fat
I'm not
lipper
vouching.
in.
Yeah,
he's got that fat lipper, and he's like thinking about it. And well, you know, for me, the action is the juice. Yeah, so I'm in. So good.
I was watching also a documentary. It's I think the second time I watched it now. It's called "This Is a Robbery." Have you seen that? Ooh. It's about there's a art museum in Boston that had priceless paintings and it's like kind of like a smaller one. Like from the outside, it's really unostentatious. It just seems like a building, and then you go inside and you're just like, wow. And there's so many things, but it was like it was pulled off by it's still never been resolved. They don't know who did it. They assume they suspect that one of the security guards who is like a keyboard player in this jam band, and this is like the 70s sometime in Boston, and got long hair, and he's like, even when they find all the guards, him and his other guard, down in the basement, tied up, duct taped, but he's duct taped around the eyes and then like this around his head. And and he's wearing like a tie-dye shirt and a fanny pack. It's like, all right, this is weird. Like everybody who worked there was like, I've seen heists. I've worked on them. Why would they do that? Why would they tape him up like that? It doesn't make sense. Like they would just put tape over his mouth, But it's one of those where you're talking about people that are dedicated to the art of the heist. These guys were a bunch of probably some bumbling fools who got away with it, and they just like they didn't take the time to unscrew the frames and pull the piece of artwork out. Yeah. So priceless pieces of artwork, Matisse and like they just took a knife and just cut it out of the frame, like, and they still haven't recovered these, and it's the type of thing where it's like, well, that's obviously a private collector. It's like you're talking about Thomas Crown Affair. Yeah. Why did he do it? Well, partly just because I've got the money and
he knows art.
And he knows art. He appreciates
the value of
what
it
actually is.
Yeah.
So he would never have done something like that. But where you were saying that the other whatever the consultant was like, I just don't buy that. Well, a lot of people who have everything, it's get a sense of anathema or anidoma, right? Where hedonism, right? And hedonic feeling where I've had everything, I've experienced everything. Now I feel nothing unless I feel this intense excitement from something that is so dangerous that which is kind of a similar common theme. Like just watch like the Squid Games, which is about, I don't know if you've seen that. It's a Netflix thing, a Korean movie. People who are all down on their luck. It's all right. It's all right. I like it. Yeah. I don't like the ending, but like all in all, the acting's pretty good. The premise, I think, is it's entertaining enough. But yeah, like that's what it comes down to is rich people wanting poor people to fight to the death for their amusement. Why? Because they're so rich that they have everything they've ever wanted, and they can't want anything that isn't perverse or dangerous. Because the only thing that gives them any kind of thrill anymore.
Yeah. So
I do think that I am more inclined to believe that that there are, certain people always want more.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter if you got billions of dollars in the bank from successfully heisting. All you've ever done is heist. All you want to do is heist.
Yeah.
Even if you don't care about the money, that's what I'm good at. That's what I do. This is, I want to prove that I can do it one more time.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's I think that goes across all walks of life.
Yeah.
If you're the best at something, it's like the Ballad of Buster Scruggs. Right. And Buster's out there and he's like, well, and then the cowboy in black rides through and is like, well, I hear you're the one I gotta come see for the singing and the shooting. And he was like kind of happy to be shot down.
Yeah.
Because otherwise what do? You just keep roaming and keep killing people who think that they're tough enough to shoot you, but which is just such a funny scene. He's like in the mirror. And he's like, well, I got to count. It is reflected, so I should go over this way a little bit. And,
bang.
Yeah, shoots all his fingers off and then shoots him. And, takes off his hat. There's a bullet hole. Well, I guess you got me.
Yeah.
But, for anyone, I feel like, at least that's how I feel, is I want to keep working harder at what I do.
Yeah.
Becoming better. Even though, I'm 38 now and I'm going back to schools just to help try to flesh out my understanding of something that I've been doing professionally for 15 years.
That's right.
I don't need to.
I
don't need to. I've got plenty of work that is doing very well for me. But you always want, I think most people who get that far into something really want to, hey, if I'm dedicated, why not go all the way?
Yeah.
And I'll still play some shows that aren't going to pay me as well because it's a fun show. Just for the love of the game.
But you're still trying to get better at your craft.
Always.
Yeah. At your skill set.
There's nothing. There's no thing in life that anyone has mastered.
No.
People can be considered masters of it, but that does not mean that there isn't something for them to learn.
Absolutely.
So that's a philosophy that I hold on to and love it. Yeah.
We all have something to teach, and we all have something to learn.
Absolutely.
And that's how coming to the table, it's maybe one of the most important lessons that I've learned. And I actually learned it at the Sundance Institute. And it was a cinematographer who got up and kind of gave his intro speech of we're about to embark on this summer of learning and exploration and teaching each other and learning from each other.
Oh, yeah.
And that was one of the biggest takeaways was he said, we all have something to teach and we all have something to learn.
Yeah.
So,
and I mean, always love that idea. That's just no matter what.
Yeah.
I was, did you, I mean, I know you've seen Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I mean, how do you feel? Like, that's one of those that for me, it's, I understand that, you know, it was just such a great like experience and film and fun, like, but it's like, okay, so it's lower budget, and then Hollywood goes 3 years later and reproduces it as Snatch.
As Snatch, yeah.
And I love both movies.
Yeah.
But I almost like Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels better.
I do.
Because it's, you know, just, I don't know, more because it's the low budget. These are guys just making just the pure art of it, you know, and having fun doing it. And it's a little more authentic.
Yes.
Yeah.
I like it better for like the pure film element of it. Like this feels like like the concept is self-contained.
Yeah.
This is supposed, and then Snatch is okay. Now I've got clout in Hollywood. I can now get people like Benicio. I can get Brad Pitt. I can get Dennis Farina involved, and it makes it a much more colorful cast.
Yeah.
And that's what's missing from Lock, Stock, but not that the cast is in any way black and white. Like it is so colorful in the people that he gets. They're just not famous in any way.
Right.
But they are now to you and I. Like that's such a cult classic to me. When I think of Barry the Baptist, I'm like, oh my God, if I met that guy, which there's no way that guy's still alive. But if I met him, I would just be like starstruck, like as if I met somebody who was a name actor. It's just like
truly larger than life.
God.
Like, maybe not everybody knows who you are, but I do.
Are you gonna tell? Are you gonna fucking tell?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh man, and both are great movies, and
that's one of the greatest like weed heist.
Yeah,
weed heist, and then another heist.
Right,
and then another. That's like it's just compounding. Okay, I'm going to get you to steal from them, and then I'm going to steal from you, and then they're going to find out and then steal from us, but they're going to they're going to think that they stole from them,
right?
And then we're going to find out and go
so that we can,
and then we're going to go back and just accidentally pick up the loot,
right,
in front of all of the carnage,
right.
That movie is brilliant.
It is.
Guy Ritchie is brilliant.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's always fun to watch. And then also, you know, but Snatch has just got such, like you said, a colorful, well-known cast, but that I don't know if it's all the writing or you know what actors did with it, and you know, there's still people today that one of the regulars is just like, you know, pretends to be a pikey when he's a little drunk. It just talks like that. You like digs? Are you about a caravan and you gotta have a dig?
Yeah.
Like,
it's very partial to Periwinkle Blue.
Yeah, such a Periwinkle Blue. Fucking 8 parkies. But, you know.
I need to have a shite.
Yeah.
I met a bunch of Englishmen. This is back in my college days. And they were an English rugby team. That were in the States for competition. They were out drinking. And they ended up coming back to the house party that we were at. And they ended up like crashing and sleeping at the house party.
Oh, yeah.
But the whole time I was talking about my love and knowledge of Guy Ritchie. Like at that point, like I was like, dude, I can recite the whole movie. Like I got most of the accents down, or whatever. They loved me. They were just like, oh, we're gonna talk to you all night. Come
in,
come here, you fucking cunt. And I remember we were talking about pikeys, and for one, he's like they kind of call them, sometimes call them pikeys, but mostly they're travelers. Like we call them travelers.
Just gypsies.
Yeah, they're gypsies.
Yeah, right.
And sometime we got to watch this. I've got a great boxing movie. It's called Southpaw. Not to be confused with the Jake Gyllenhaal movie, Southpaw.
Right.
It's a documentary, and it's about an Irish traveler who is a boxing champion who goes to the Olympics, like the 97 Olympics.
All right.
It's basically a documentary about Mickey O'Neill, who is Brad Pitt.
Right.
Like, you can't understand a word he says. They have subtitles through the whole thing. It is amazing. So these guys, these rugby players that we're hanging out with, and we get so blind drunk with them.
Oh,
like, yeah. And somebody, like, the last memory I have was like we went to a bar after the house party, and then we're coming back, and somebody had their sprinklers on, and they started doing like slip and slide
across
in
the lawns.
in the lawn, and they're doing belly like slides, they're doing knee slides. It's just epic. And we get back to the house, everyone passes out, and I'm like passed out on the couch, and I remember one of the guys like waking me up in the morning, and he's like, "Hey, have you seen me rosary beads?"
I've got a lot of penance to do.
He had apparently he had a whole new set of rosary beads his grandmother had given him, and he lost them the night before. Almost certainly playing slip and slide in the yard.
Sure. Well, we have an idea where they might be. Yeah. There are more apologies than to God and Mother Mary to be made today. Because their front yard looks like someone went mudding with four-wheelers in it. But that was just big guys. Rugby guys are so much fun. I've got several friends who have played rugby, and they're tough as nails. Like it's kind of like people kind of they don't realize it's like, okay, so it's football without pads. And it's like, yeah, no, but like it's a regular thing. Like every game, someone's going to break a bone and then play through the rest of the game with a broken arm.
Yeah, or shattered hands.
Yeah.
Or broken clavicles.
Yeah.
All the time.
They're tough guys, but all like real good guys that like to have fun. They like doesn't matter when they go to these festivals, like they go to Aspen and they for like, championship type thing, and it's people from all over the world. And rugby players from all over the world are just the same. They're it doesn't matter.
There's a kinship.
They're the same personality. It's like that's what Tommy Boy was in Tommy Boy.
That's
like,
right.
Yeah, we may not have been the smartest guys on campus. Kerklack. They just like to drink, have fun, but are also like good guys. Like it's the best place to be if you're in a bar, is hanging out with some rugby guys, because a fight breaks out, you're taken care of.
Yeah.
And they're going to win.
Yeah, that's how I felt with these guys who were like chumming up to me and like put me in headlocks and was like, "Oh, you fuck."
Yeah.
I was just like, I'm safe. I feel
I'm
really
in.
safe.
Yes, you are.
And they were talking about, when they were talking about pikeys or travelers, they were talking about if you meet one of these guys in a bar, they will kill anyone and hide the body for like 100 pounds.
Right.
They were like that's what kind of guys that like they have no qualms with this. So it kind of because I was talking about it in a Guy Ritchie sense where it was like, oh, we're just having fun. This is a good time. He's like,
no, for real.
Make no mistake. These guys are lifetime criminals. And I'm not talking all travelers, but he was like, you'll meet a certain type of guy, because there are some travelers who are just trapped in poverty, and they're struggling to make it out. But they probably, like, even if they're innocent in the game, which this movie about Southpaw, he's trying to get out of the life of drinking and criminal behavior.
Yeah.
To become a professional boxer.
Right.
And he does, and he makes a good career for himself, and it's a great story. But for the most part, you'll meet guys, and I'm sure he was related to guys who would have no qualms with going out to the parking lot, putting a bullet in your brain, throwing you in the trunk, and I'm going to take you out to the countryside, and I'm going to bury you in a hole, and no one's ever going to find you.
It's work.
It's because that's what I do.
And like you said, it's
that's
what I
my
do.
job.
Yeah, it's my job.
Yeah.
And it has a lot to do with poverty, but then also communities that live in poverty. And so like if you really kind of look into, travelers, gypsies, like whatever you want to call them, I think that show, see Eddie Izzard and Minnie Driver.
Ooh, what's that?
I think it's called The Travelers. I
Oh.
want to say it's on Netflix, but it's there.
Well, I love those
they're
two.
from, yeah.
Oh,
And it's
wow.
kind of funny because Eddie Izzard's doing an American accent and Minnie Driver's doing a Southern accent, although they're both from the same tribe of travelers. It's like, well, you got two different accents. You'd think you'd have the same one, but but it's interesting to examine what their circumstance is this whole family. It's a large extended family that are all grifters and pickpockets and scam artists, but that's because that's all they know.
Mm-hmm.
But within the family, even though there is some strife and a little bit of deceit, for the most part it's like we're all one. And so there's like a pride in being able to pull off doing those things. And so for someone to come from that level of poverty where they just live in tents, wherever they go and find what they can to get what they need, that to take out an outsider wouldn't be a thing.
No.
You're not part of my family. My family's the only thing that matters, and everyone else in the world shits on our family.
Yeah.
So if I got to kill you to make my money, then I'm just going to kill you. It's not a big thing.
Mm-hmm.
So it definitely makes sense to know that from their perspective, but it's talk about a tough life. I've known con artists. I've never actually known any travelers.
Yeah.
Because why would they hang out with me? They stay within their group.
Yeah.
Because that's where security is. You can get away with things if you go hanging out with other people and talking with them. They know stuff that they're not supposed to know, that you're not supposed to have told them.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, heisters.
Yeah.
True heisters. And that's what the show The Travelers is they're like they move into some house and pose as this family that no one really knows, and like he works his way into this law firm all by talking and scamming and
just being a confidence man.
Exactly. And being able to bullshit, and it's fun. It's a pretty fun show.
I've not seen that, but I guess I've heard of it now that you're saying that it's a show. It's a episodic.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I think maybe a couple seasons that they did, and
okay.
So it's one of those where by the end of the second or third season, it kind of like goes, all right, well maybe their writers are stretched thin to keep the characters going, but that wouldn't stop me from watching it again, because at least the first couple seasons were a lot of fun, and I love those actors, and so it's fun to watch them. And especially Eddie Izzard's one of my all-time, such
he's
a
great.
So
what a talent.
When he's on stage doing stand-up, he doesn't have a script, he doesn't have a set, he has ideas, and you can see that because he goes and this, and then just talks about an idea for 20 minutes, and it's hilarious the whole way through, and it's not because he's dressed in drag,
he's truly talented,
and he's and he's not transgender either. Like that's a thing that kind of got like lost in the mix of life is some people just like to wear the clothes of, like, a man sometimes likes to dress as a woman.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't make him, it's not a sexual thing for him either. He just feels comfortable dressing that way.
Yeah, makes him confident.
Right,
mm-hmm.
Which is one segment in that in the LGBTQ community that's kind of overlooked. Like one of my favorite bands, NoFX, Fat Mike is for his whole life felt that way, and so now he does on stage, and people go, "Oh, well, you're just a you know, punk rocker who does this for like show, and he's like, actually, no, this is what I just feel comfortable dressing this way.
This has always been me.
Right. And recently he's had a lot of issues with that, where it's like, you know, well, I'm not a sissy, or I guess you can call me sis, but why don't you just call me Per for the night? Because I'm not him or her. Just call me Per, because I'm a person. We're
nice.
We're all people. Call people Per. If we want to get into the pronoun game, I feel like that's what everybody should call them. Yeah, Per did this, or Per did that. You know, if you want to avoid needing to understand where someone is coming from, then sure. I like that. I like Per. I'm like, all right, I think I'm going to use that.
I like that too. When I first moved to Fort Collins, the first group of friends that I got involved with, to preface, I didn't know NoFX other than the name of the band. They started calling me Fat Mike.
Yeah. Well, and that's irony too. Fat Mike's not that fat. I mean, he's not as skinny as you, but he's not that fat. But, you know, when they started the band, he was like, you know, whatever. Or when they were touring, when they were really young, you know, he was like skinny for his frame. And then they went on, you know, tour like 2 years later. And everybody who saw him 2 years ago was like, you got fat, Mike. And he's like, all right, because he put on 20 pounds. So now he didn't look like a, you know, like a young, stringy kid, you know. So he's like, all right, well, I'm Fat Mike, and that's my identity. I'm going to be Fat Mike. I'm going to try to get fat. I'm going to get as fat as I possibly can, which he doesn't. I mean, he's a somewhat portly individual, but he's not fat, really. You know, he's not obese.
Yeah. It's one of my favorite nicknames I've ever received.
Fat Mike.
I was like, that's awesome. Dude. And I will say I was a little sad when I found out like there is a famous Fat Mike.
Oh,
but I was like, fair enough.
It's like calling Tiny, you know, the giant guy Tiny. Yeah. No, I mean I think that's a glowing, respectful, you know, name that they'd given you, because he's one of my all-time favorite. I mean, he is who he is, but he's extremely successful. He's extremely creative. He's my favorite bass player and singer. He's a bass player and singer. He wrote the vast body of their work over now 30 plus years, and you know, turned something that was non-commercial, no commercial viability, in tiny little trashy bars, singing about stuff that most people don't want to hear.
Yeah.
And has been able to build an entire empire out of it. Like, mad respect.
That's awesome.
Yeah, he's really kind of a hero of mine. If you can, you know, say that he should be anyone's hero. He's got songs like "I Don't Like Me Anymore" and stuff. That's some of the newer ones. Like, and a close friend said to me, you know, "I love you. You've done so much for me, but I don't like you anymore." And he's like, I look in the mirror and go, who's this guy? And I turn on the TV and I see some old fat punk rocker acting like a jerk, and that jerk looks a lot like me. Yeah, but
hey, that's his art. I mean,
it is his art. Important, and that's what I admire most about him, is that he really, even though you could say for punk rock that, people would say, "Oh, you sold out." No, he's successful.
Yeah,
he didn't. Not to disparage Blink-182 or anyone who likes them, but they changed their sound to be more palatable to a popular culture so that they could sell more records. He's never pulled punches about anything. He says what he wants. He really stands by what he says and believes, and so for that, I think those are things people should be admired of. Just like if you're a thief and that's what you do and you know it, and you're, you know, doesn't mean you're a bad person. You may do things that aren't societally acceptable, but
they go against the social construct,
right? But he's stealing. He's not hurting. Like he doesn't hurt anyone who hasn't tried to hurt him.
Yeah,
you know, like any of these characters in any of these, like there is obviously in Reservoir Dogs. There's the occasional psycho. Michael Madsen is, you know,
the Mr. Blondes of the world.
Yeah. Every time I hear that song, I just
if
think
they
about.
did,
and I knew a
what
guy
I told
who,
them not to do,
right?
then
I wouldn't have to do this. But since we're here, let me cut your ear off. Oh man, which I have known a guy who told me a story about having done that because some people do messed up things when they're in strange situations. It's like I'm just glad I'd never got myself that far into anything.
Yeah.
That you know, you gotta, because like you said, you gotta be able to be hardened enough to drop everything in your life.
Yeah.
If you want to be a part of that type of life, and I don't.
No, thank you.
No thanks.
No thanks.
Yeah, no thanks.
So when I was talking about Thief with a friend, and he drew a parallel to Drive.
Yeah.
And I thought it was a very I really appreciated the parallel because I hadn't thought of it. I certainly didn't think of it while watching it because what Ryan Gosling is playing and what James Caan is playing is completely different as far as personality type.
Yeah.
But the way they approach their job, I think is very similar.
Yeah.
As far as there is a level of professionalism. Here's what I will do. Here's what I do. This is what I'm good at. I did say do.
You saw it in my eyes, didn't you? My sophomore humor just took me.
Right? Even
you said
I
doo-doo.
said it.
Yeah, you thought it, and I couldn't be a grown-up and just let it go. I had to smirk.
And I lost
This is what I do.
This is what I do.
Right.
Shit. No. And I lost my point.
I'm sorry.
No, that was hilarious. But there's a finality to how they present themselves.
Yes.
Like in a work position, like where Ryan Gosling is saying like there's 150,000 streets in this city. You don't need to know the route. Like when I get there, I give you 5 minutes. A minute either side of that, you're on your own. And he's like, I drive, or whatever it is. Like, I don't sit in while you're running it down. Like, this is what I do. I drive.
Yeah.
The same way that James Caan approaches how he steals jewels. Like,
right.
This is what I do. Like, if you are hiring me, I work with a small team.
Right.
Like,
they're my guys.
Yeah. They're my guys. I'm not telling you the plan. This is what I don't steal. This is what I do steal. This is, and like cash or ice. That's it.
That's it.
That's all I do. And I felt like, I think in Drive, which that is a heist movie in that there's a heist in it. And most of it is dealing with the issue of things going wrong or going right, or like it's what I love about these movies, like Michael Mann and for the Drive, like the Nicholas Winding Refn kind of storyline is about the logistics. Yeah. And I know some people that's not what they're into. Is like they want to see the action of the movie. They want to see gunfights or whatever. Heat has that. Heat has this explosive gunfight that is just like, oh my God, you hear assault rifles echoing down the downtown of Los Angeles, and it is deafening, and it's just like, holy shit, this feels real. Yeah. This feels like we are really witnessing this. That's great. It has that. It also has the logistics of them on site, and they're scoping things out. Like, I want you to lay out a story and lay out a project and a job that you're doing that is beyond my comprehension. Like, lose me in the details.
Right.
That's kind of what I want. I want the challenge of being like, God, do I still know what the fuck they're talking about? Or have they completely lost me?
That's what I love about it. The action is action. You can watch any action film, and there's action. And nowadays with CGI, you can do any kind of action. So action to me has been, like, what is it? It's passe. There's Michael Bay films where it's nothing but explosions. So, like, I think that people are somewhat desensitized to it, but I've always been drawn to the the plan. I want to like the whole like the casing and the planning, and when they're all in their warehouse and talking about how we're gonna do this and do that, and like, and I need you and you and you, and like Gone in 60 Seconds, and like, you know, and you're gonna do this and you're gonna do that, and that's go.
Let's ride.
Let's ride. Yeah. Eleanor.
I almost I thought of starting our episode that way, but
that's right. And oh man, yeah.
No, you're right. Like getting into the weeds about how it's going to be done. I loved with Thief, for example, when he's looking at this impossible safe. He gets the blueprints, and they're looking at zinc against magnesium against steel against more zinc and against like he was like, this door, he's like, I don't know how we're gonna crack this, and he's like, I want to cut through it so that I walk into this safe, and he's like, whatever machine I build for you, it's gonna be heavy equipment, and so now James Caan, he's like, okay, well, now we need an elevator shaft to get all this equipment in. So that's going to be our entry point. Like, it's all of these pieces. Part of it is I'm a logistician in that my job for 10 plus years was give me a problem, not in any facet like close to what these guys are doing, but I like the minutia of like a meeting where you sit down, like, it's not an action scene. It's not a car chase. But I find it just as exciting with 2 people or 5 people talking out the logistics of how we are actually going to accomplish this goal.
Yeah.
Because that was always and for me, I was the operations guy who was saying, this is what we need to do, and this is how much it's going to cost. Like, there's a price tag for all of this.
Absolutely.
And so when I see people doing it in a criminal way, there is such a romance to it that I'm just like, oh my God. Dude, watching Thief last night, I was giddy. I was just like, oh my God, this is so cool. This is amazing. I'm having a blast watching them. And like, he's disagreeing, like he's got somebody he trusts, and the guy's like, and he's like, I'll be back in 2 weeks. Like, and then they work it out. And there's nothing clean about it. There's no Ocean's 11. You put the charges up or anything. No, these guys are welding on a level that is, I mean, they're melting through giant walls that you're not supposed to. They're reaching degrees of like what was he saying, like 7,500 degrees or something like that to cut through this.
Hotter than lava, I think, you know. So
and I love that it's a 3-man job for cutting through the safe. 2 men to hold these rods that are cutting, and another man with fire extinguishers to put out the fire all around.
I wondered about if that was like just part of, you know, a necessity that would be something they would worry about as thieves, or a necessity of a production crew creating a movie about these thieves using that. It's like, there's no way to do this without me constantly extinguishing the floor. You know,
these sparks that are flying off
are thousands of degrees,
3,000 degrees or something like that. They're burning whatever linoleum or whatever tiling we have down.
Burn through the floor.
We're gonna have a floor. We're gonna have a fire on the floor below us and the floor below us. Below us. This is gonna be like an alien situation.
I remember. You're right. The saliva drops. I remember thinking that though last night. I was watching it. I was like, is that something they had to do for production, or would they have to do that? And it's like, well, obviously they would have to do that. You know. We want our floor to still be standing when we walk out of the safe that we were able to walk into, you know.
So one piece, and I think this might be a good way to end and punctuate this episode, is soundtrack. I really feel like soundtrack is one of the most important things to making. There are hundreds, thousands of heist films to making them classic. I think the soundtrack pulls them together. Some of the ones that we've already talked about have some of the most classic soundtracks. Usual Suspects, Reservoir Dogs, Heat. These are, Heat is more of a score. I don't know if you saw this in the credits, which as far as Thief,
Mighty Joe Young and Willie Dixon.
Oh no.
Well, so when he's in his own bar and there's a blues band playing, that's Mighty Joe Young, famous blues man.
Cool.
Who actually took his name from the early movie, I think 50s movie about like
Tarzan,
King Kong type thing.
Yeah.
And they called it Mighty Joe Young, and he was Joe Young, so he took on that moniker. But that's actually him playing in there. So you got Willie Nelson, you got Mighty Joe Young, you got Willie Dixon. But also Tangerine Dream.
Tangerine Dream.
Again, back again. But with that, it's a German electronic like group. So for the 80s, perfect. Like and it really kind of makes the feel of like if you watch Beverly Hills Cop and you're not hearing Neutron, dance like whatever, like it doesn't feel the same.
Yeah.
And even though you could take that movie and you could rescore it, it would be a whole different movie.
Yeah.
It was the time and the place and the way that it looks matches up with the sound that you're hearing. And that's part of what I love about watching these older movies from the 80s, is that it's like, dude, people don't play music like that anymore. Like electronic music doesn't sound like that. There's all this like, like this crazy synthesizer sounds that were only around in the 80s for one decade, really. Yeah. They weren't around in the 70s. The keyboard players in the 70s and had different sounds. And in the 90s, different sounds and keyboards became less prevalent through the 90s and on. And now they're a little bit more, but like...
A little bit with like Christopher Nolan, where he does his synthy booms, which is really... what's his name? Famous composer.
Williams?
No.
Zimmer?
Hans Zimmer. Yeah. Hans Zimmer is the one, who has kind of brought back the synth tone, synth tone.
Yeah.
Where to set the tone, which I really love. But it's an origin, like the origins are in the 80s.
Yeah.
Like that's where you see these first things are from these films that have these scores like Thief. 1981, which I think is Tangerine Dream did 4 years later. They did
Legend,
and that was fantastic.
Yeah.
Completely different, like
at least for the American release.
Which I still need to see those other releases.
Right,
but don't you agree? Like like for them to become the classics that they are, like a Usual Suspects, like. Wow, I mean, even Drive,
right?
Even Reservoir Dogs,
sure.
That's more of a soundtrack. Jackie Brown, things like that.
Yeah, which
like
Tarantino did a great job of doing multiple heist movies.
He did.
I would say so. It's not only the soundtrack or score, but also can be the lack of such. No Country for Old Men, 0 score. Yeah. Watch the movie again. There's nothing. No backing tracks.
All diegetic sound, like you hear
correct
footsteps.
Just right. Just the
mechanics
dogs,
of a door opening.
Yeah. Which actually in my last semester, one of my fellow classmates, we in our music production. Computer music applications of the recording thing, we had a project to score something, and she actually put music to it, and it was amazing. Wow. It was like, wow, you took something that I didn't think they could have done it other than the way that they did it, and it still felt right. It was a very
what a
impressive
hell of a project.
Yeah, and I'm like,
wow.
I was like, you are. I'm glad I got to be in a class with you because I know you're going to be going somewhere. Like, this is your first class, your first year, and that's what you did. You took on No Country for Old Men and made a soundtrack score to 5 minutes of a scene that I thought was how it should have been done.
Wow.
Like I was watching it going, man, this should have been how they did it. They didn't need to do nothing. They could have done nothing for most of it. But it's like, towards the end where he's like, yeah, like you said, like shooting out the lock and the creaking of the doorknob. But it's like minimalist sound can be as important as an orchestra.
Mm-hmm.
But
in the end of that movie, where he talks about his dreams, and then it ends with kind of a long silence with he and his wife, and then it cuts to black, and all you continue to hear is
yes,
of a clock that turns into maracas, that turns into kind of the first score of the movie, which is the scoring in the end credits, which is kind of this rhythmic movement of time.
Yeah.
But the rest of the movie is like, you're in it and you are here to experience what all the characters experience. Like, that's the sound you get.
Right.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah. Well, I loved it, man. Thanks again.
Dude, this
always
is great.
Happy to be here.
Dude, this is fantastic.
So much fun,
Jesse.
Mike. So much fun.
Once again, we did it.
We did it.
Okay. Get some guns out. This has been Hot Mike. And we're out.